This is the story of a young Italian boy with a mysterious heritage that goes on an adventure full of violence and organized crime to achieve his dreams and position himself at the top of the Mafia and absolve it of its corruption. That's right, today we'll be talking about one of the most influential and acclaimed pieces of media ever created, The Godfather. Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, Golden Wind. Before we begin talking about this very important story, I wanted to say thank you for being here as always. If you're catching up with Jojo's now that we're on Steel Ball Run season, I will leave the links for every other part that I've recapped in the description down below. With nothing else to say, please consider liking the video to help the channel keep growing, and let's recap some peak fiction. The year is 2001 and our Japanese boy Koichi is arriving at the Naples airport on a mission. Given that he is so reliable, Jotaro has sent him out to Italy to investigate a boy named Haruno Shiobana. Jotaro suspects that Haruno is the biological son of none other than Dio Brando, making it 5 straight parts now in which Dio is somehow involved. Koichi immediately finds Haruno, only to find that he is now going as Giorno Giovanna, who not only steals Koichi's luggage, but is also our Jojo for this story. And if you're wondering why he is a Jojo, remember whose body Dio was using when Giorno was conceived. Now following Giorno, we see that he is pressed by a member of a famous gang in Naples called Passione, who dies from Giorno's stand powers, which are still very mysterious to us. Because of this incident, Giorno later gets confronted by a man called Bruno Bucciarati, who is able to tell if Giorno is lying or not by licking Giorno's face and tasting his sweat. Huh? Once unmasked, Bucciarati attacks Giorno with his stand Sticky Fingers, which has the power of zippers, but Giorno easily defeats him with his stand Golden Experience, which has the power of turning inanimate objects into animals, but also overloading someone with life if they attack it. In my honest opinion, this stand is mostly capable of whatever the plot needs to move forward. After defeating Bucciarati, Giorno tells him that he has a dream of becoming the boss of the gang to stop them from dealing drugs, especially to kids, which is a dream rooted in the struggles he faced as a young kid in Naples. Bucciarati agrees and helps him to infiltrate the gang. To do this, Bucciarati takes Giorno to a gang lieutenant called Polpo. Damn, boy, he's thick! Who gives Giorno the test of keeping a lighter on for 24 hours, and if he succeeds, he will be able to join the gang. Obviously, bro fails the one job he had and awakens Polpo's remote stand that attacks from the shadows. Thankfully, our goated MVP Koichi shows up to get his luggage and tells Giorno how to defeat it. Giorno manages to destroy the stand and later makes Polpo eat a deadly banana. And with this, Giorno has technically passed the test and joins the gang. After this, Bucciarati explains the structure of the gang and tells Giorno that to get closer to the boss, they have to climb up the ranks. Thankfully, because of how Giorno disposed of Polpo, his death looked like a sewer slide for the rest of the gang, which means that the spot is now up for grabs. But before they can move towards that goal, Giorno has to meet Bucciarati's team of colorful and peculiar characters. We have Narancia as the guy who looks like a girl and has an airplane for a stand, Fugo as the smart one who hates dumb ones, Mista as your favorite Jojo side character, and Abacchio as the silent and mysterious one. None of them accept Giorno in the group, but it is Giorno's job to one by one charm them into supporting him to obtain his dream. To help Bucciarati take Polpo's position, the gang must now find his hidden treasure of 6 billion lira before any other party gets to it. This leads our lads to take a yacht to the island of Capri, where they will be attacked by a man named Mario Zucchero. Abacchio uses his stand Moody Blues to capture Zucchero, who they torture in the most Jojo way possible. Doing so allows them to learn that his partner Sale is waiting for them in Capri to attack them, but Mista is able to defeat them with his stand Sex Pistols. Now that they're out of danger, the team makes it to the treasure to hand it over to Passione, and in here they are met by an operative called Pericolo, who collects the money and gives Bucciarati the status of capo, but also gives him Polpo's last mission, which was to take care of the boss's daughter, Trish. With that, the mission is now completed, but a new adventure has just begun. This means that Team Bucciarati will now be hunted down by the other members of La Squadra, who want to kidnap Trish to get to the boss. La Squadra is a group of assassins that one day gets fed up with the small amounts they get paid by the boss, even though they carry out all of the dirty work. This leads them to one day try to uncover the boss's secret identity, which ends with 2 of their members being dismembered. After this, La Squadra members defect from Passione and go out for revenge against the boss, which brings us back to Team Bucciarati. So once they receive Trish, they go to hide until further notice. A little bit later, Narancia steps out in a car to get groceries, but is attacked by the first assassin, Formaggio, who has a stand that lets him shrink. Narancia fights him with his airplane stand and ultimately burns him alive. Moments later, the team receives an email from the boss telling them to find the key that will keep them safe at the ruins of Pompeii. Fugo, Abacchio, and Giorno go to get it, while the rest stay behind to protect Trish. In here, they will be attacked by the only La Squadra member who isn't called after food, Iluso, whose stand allows him to hop in and out of mirrors. This dude gives the lads a pretty hard time, but luckily Fugo has one of the most OP stands in JoJo's called Purple Haze.
What the dog doing?
And he demolishes Iluso. The team now gets the instruction to get to Venice by train, and at the station they find a turtle named Coco Jumbo. This turtle has a slit on its shell where they can fit the key, which lets them shrink down to enter a furnished room inside the turtle to travel safely. However, the train is also boarded by two more assassins, Prosciutto and the Giga Chad Pesci. Pesci is a little half-baked and doesn't really do much, but the team still faces a massive threat from Prosciutto's stand, Grateful Dead, which makes people grow old incredibly fast at warm temperatures. Luckily, Giorno uses his 1000 battle IQ to figure it out, which allows Bucciarati to fight the assassins. He jumps out of the train with Prosciutto, which makes Pesci lock in and start using his stand like a madman. With his stand Beach Boy, which is basically a fishing rod, he looks for Bucciarati across the train. But Bucciarati slices his heart with zippers to go unnoticed and almost dies. Out of frustration, Pesci stops the train, which lets Bucciarati go back to normal, and they have a proper showdown in which Bucciarati aura farms as he defeats Pesci.
Arrivederci.
The assassins are now dead, but unfortunately Prosciutto called for backup before dying, so the gang cannot travel by train anymore. As they escape, the next assassin, Melone, makes it to the train and gives birth to a stand in a really freaky way. The stand hunts down the lads and fights Giorno by taking out cubes of his throat, his foot, and even his eye. But in this moment, Giorno reminds us that his stand has the power of plot armor, as he is now able to create organs to heal himself, which makes him basically immortal if they give him enough resources. Giorno defeats the stand and turns a part of it into a venomous snake that later kills Melone as well. After that, the team is told to find the disc at another train station, so Mista and Giorno drive a stolen car while the rest of the gang hide in the turtle. While driving, they get attacked by another assassin called Ghiaccio, who has an incredibly broken ice power stand. Regardless of this, Mista easily shoots him down, and Giorno delivers the finishing blow. Now with the disc, the team is told to take Trish to Venice to deliver her to the boss. Bucciarati accompanies her to the top of the bell tower where the boss said he would be waiting, but suddenly Bucciarati is left holding nothing more than Trish's severed hand.
What the f?
It turns out that the purpose of this entire journey was to deliver Trish to the boss so that he could kill her himself, and thus protecting his own identity. This gets Bucciarati fired up and he's all like, "Oh hell nah," and he tracks down the boss to fight him and save Trish. Once in the basement, Bucciarati gets attacked by the boss's stand, which can erase time, making it a 3-4-3 on JoJo villain stands that have something to do with time. Bucciarati is fatally injured and is left on the brink of death before receiving help from Giorno to escape with Trish. Giorno tries to heal Bucciarati, but sadly, he passes away. But then a miracle happens and Bucciarati wakes up abruptly, almost as if the heavens allowed him to carry out one final mission before death. Bucciarati tells the team that he has now defected against the boss and he will now try to take him down. And after some initial concern, all of his team members follow him except for Fugo, who is too bitch-made to follow the lads and stays behind. And just like that, our priorities have now changed and the team focuses on finding out the boss's identity at all costs. To help with this, Trish tells them that her mom and the boss originally met in Sardinia, so the boys will now head there in hopes of finding clues. Regardless of this, the journey ahead will not be easy as the boss will send loyal assassins to dispose of them as well. Narancia gets attacked by two fruity dudes whose stand make him say the opposite of what he means and also makes him the target of a shark that jumps between bodies of water. Luckily, Giorno realizes this and helps him defeat them. Later, as they leave Venice by plane, they are attacked by an assassin who dies in front of them, which triggers an automatic stand that hunts them down inside the plane through sound. In this moment, Trish awakens her own stand and manages to throw the enemy stand into the sea, destroying the plane. And seeing that his lackeys weren't too useful in the task at hand, the boss himself decides to go to Sardinia to stop Team Bucciarati. Now in Sardinia, we meet a young lad called Doppio. This guy gets his fortune read by a fortune teller but doesn't appreciate how accurate of a reading bro is giving him, and because of this, Doppio transforms into a taller figure that forces the fortune teller to tell him where the last member of La Squadra is and kills him right after. And I'm sure you figured it out by now, but yes, Doppio and the boss are two personalities inhabiting the same body. Doppio later finds Team Bucciarati investigating the place, but is attacked by the leader of La Squadra, Risotto Nero. This dude could have actually ended the whole story in one episode because he was actually millimeters away from defeating the boss, if not for Narancia's stand that injures Risotto and gives the boss the opening to kill him. RIP to the goats. The boss escapes Narancia and Mista and sneaks to where Abacchio is investigating, and in a split second, without anyone noticing, he kills Abacchio. And to make it a little bit more depressing, Abacchio's death was kind of useless because they did manage to see the boss's face thanks to the stand, but there's not much else that they can do with that. Regardless of that, I will say goodbye Abacchio. Rest in power, King. Luckily, their investigation is also noticed by a third party who tells the team to meet at the Roman Colosseum to discuss the one thing that might help the team defeat the boss: the stand arrow. The boys head to Rome, and on the way they are attacked by a mentally twisted doctor and his human pet. Giorno and Mista defeat the doctor, but when Bucciarati was about to defeat the pet, this one takes cover behind none other than Doppio. Without knowing who this is, Bucciarati manages to defeat the pet without hurting him and accepts Doppio's help to reach the Colosseum. Once inside, they meet the third party, who is none other than the goat of goats, my boy Jean-Pierre Polnareff. Polnareff tells the boys that he has been hunting down the boss for years, and even fought him once, resulting in him getting paralyzed from the waist down. Regardless of this, our French boy got his hands on one of the stand arrows and believes it to be the key to defeating the boss, who we now know is called Diavolo. Unfortunately for us, Diavolo has already made it to the Colosseum and attacks Polnareff once again to kill him for good. Seconds before dying, Polnareff stabs his own silver chariot with the arrow, transforming it into Silver Chariot Requiem. The new stand puts everyone to sleep and takes the arrow. Once they wake up, everyone's souls have switched bodies. Giorno switches with Narancia, Mista with Trish, and Polnareff switches with a turtle, which lets our boy live another day. The boys meet up with Bucciarati, who is now in Diavolo's body, but before they can find whoever is in Bucciarati's body, time is erased and our boy Narancia is killed. Goodbye, Narancia. Rest in power, King. This leads to a moment of huge confusion, but it turns out that Diavolo was actually possessing Trish from within Mista's body. He then runs towards Chariot Requiem to obtain the arrow, but right as he does this, Bucciarati manages to defeat Chariot Requiem and keep the arrow from going to Diavolo. Unfortunately, this drives Bucciarati's soul past its limit, and he ascends to heaven with a gut-wrenching farewell to Giorno. Giorno is now dangerously locked in, which is understandable because he just lost his homie, and he uses the arrow to transform his stand into Golden Experience Requiem. This power now makes Giorno the god of the Jojo world, as he can now return any action or process back to zero, which means that Diavolo's King Crimson is powerless against him, and he is cursed to be trapped in an endless loop of horrific deaths.
これがレクイエムだ。
And just like that, Diavolo's reign of terror ends. In a brief side quest, we see Team Bucciarati on a mission before all the events of the story, in which they fight a stand user who later reveals that Narancia, Abacchio, and Bucciarati were fated to die from the very beginning, and he prays that their suffering may be followed only by hope. Back to the present, we see now that Giorno was able to become the new boss of Passione and lives out his life with Mista and the Polnareff turtle by his side. The end. That, my friends, was the epic story of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind. As always, let me know in the comments what you think of this part, and please consider subscribing and liking this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the final recap for part 6. Bye bye.
Goodbye!